My target speaker, Toastmaster Sourabh, would be delivering one speech on the context of storytelling and emotional connect. This speech is very generic in nature, and I'll be evaluating my target speaker on the two parameters. Like you must have heard the concept of ethos, pathos, and logos. So I'll particularly evaluate Saurabh on the pathos term, which is how emotionally you are connecting with your audience, and also I'll check and I'll evaluate the storytelling type that Saurabh has. The timing for this speech is 5 to 7 minutes. All the rest students process.
So before that, I would like to mention the most impactful movie of Sourabh is Fight Club. A Fight Club movie is on consumerism, how the person was completely indulged with the consumerism, but at the end he found his own power and will towards doing the things. So over to Sourabh.
Finally, we are all walking on this beach, on this beautiful moonlit night. The breeze is light, and the mood is so uplifting and gentle. Did you ever think that we would make it till here? Yeah, it has been 3 years since we manifested this day. It almost seems impossible that how did this happen? One funny thing, can I share this with you? Yes, of course. Please tell me what you want to say. You weren't even my type of a person. I had a very long checklist, and you didn't even check any checklist, and yet I'm so glad to have met you. You know what? It almost never happened. Remember 3 years ago? It was a very slim line and slim circumstantial chances that just conspired together to make this day happen. Ladies and gentlemen, today I'm going to share with you the concept of impossible love. Love is not just a long list of checklists that you're trying to match with another person. It is probably a set of unexpected circumstances that conspire together to make things happen. But the question is, are you willing to see the signs that are being projected by the divine? With that being said, let's go back to where the story starts. Chapter 1. Courage. Our settings is in a random cafe in Gurgaon. So over there is Priya, who's sitting there, reading a book, enjoying her coffee. And Ajay is sitting over here, he was just working. But something catches his eyes. And he thinks to himself, maybe, I feel like talking to her. But should I even talk to her? Would it be really awkward? Maybe I should not talk to her. But something happens here. He decides that, okay, whatever may be, let me just go and try. And he decides, he prepares for like 30 seconds, takes a deep gulp, and decides to introduce himself to the host. Hi, I'm Ajay. I know this is not something which happens every day, but I felt like there is something about you, and I had to come and introduce myself to you. I'm Ajay. And then over here, Priya was sitting. She was very surprised and very curious to just what just happened. And at that moment, she would have said, I'm busy, or she could have put her phone up and said, oh, I'm really busy right now, I'm just talking to someone. But she chose not to do that. Instead, she said, hi, I'm Priya, I'm so and so. And that is where the story began. You just saw at this movement took courage from both parties, from the guy to muster up the courage and go and say hi, and for the girl as well to not take the phone out and block him off. Right? That was one first moment of impossible love. Chapter 2. Openness. Now they're talking and they're trying to understand who they are. At one point, Ajay suddenly asked, "Hey, do you like cheesecake? I was thinking of ordering a cheesecake." He said, "No, I've not heard about cheesecake. I don't know what that is." And then Ajay asks, "Are you ready to try?" Another moment of choice. She could have said no. I don't really like it. I don't want to experience this new one. But instead, what happened? She said, "I'm not sure, but maybe I can try." And then Ajay smiles and says, "Oh, I think you are kind of a semi-adventurous person." "What do you mean? Was that a compliment or some kind of an insult?" And she chuckles. What just happened here? At this moment, he was open to try and throw something in the conversation to move it forward, like asking for cheesecake. And she also was open enough to try something new. That is, try a cheesecake, for instance. And this was another impossible situation. Probably she could have said, I don't really like cheesecake, or whatever you might have said. Or she could have even blocked him off. "You don't really match my checklist, you can go away." But she chose to move along. Chapter 4. Persistence. Now the conversation was going. But suddenly a moment came. It was very awkward. They ran out of things to say. Have you experienced this moment like this? Like you're talking to someone and you run out of things to say. There was a choice. At this moment, Ajay could have felt really awkward. Made her also feel awkward and said, "I have to go." Or maybe she could have said the same. But instead, he decided, okay, I have nothing to say. He acknowledged, I said, "You know what, Priya, I think this was so amazing to know you, but you know, I don't want to make this awkward, but yeah, I feel like I have other things to say. But I have to say one thing is very interesting. You know, you remind me of this character from this movie called Ye Jawani Hai Diwani." Which one? He said, "You know Nana, that girl respects." And then he goes on to talk about the whole story of the movie and how she relates to that. So at this moment, what just happened? He showed persistence, even though things were getting awkward, instead of just giving up at that moment. And she showed persistence and patience to listen through all the bullshit that he was projecting out there. That was the another impossible movement that came together. Chapter 4. Surrender or trust. Now the conversation went on for an hour or so. And they were about to leave. At that moment, he said, "Yeah, sure, when are we meeting again?" I said, "I know you have my number, probably. You can call me up and we can decide." Then he thinks, maybe we should grab pizza this Saturday. And then what happens is that they just depart and leave towards the destination. Now the whole movement has expired. Things have moved on, the emotion has died out. But a ping comes to her phone. At this moment, she could have decided to continue the conversation. Or maybe Ajay could have not even thought about continuing this conversation and let this conversation die out there. Instead, what did he choose? He chose to persist and be a part of the conversation. And eventually, 3 years passed on and they were here at Impossible Love. So the whole story is about how relationships work. It's about being open, it's about having persistence, it is about having courage, and of course, Thank you.